Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Anchor and Ascend podcast with me, your host, Angela Papa. I am super excited for today's guest, Perri Michelle. We actually just met not too long ago through a mutual Light Club membership. So yeah, Perri, I'm going to open up the space for you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Amazing. Yeah, thanks for having me here. I'm super excited. So I just recently finished my first book, which I self-published. That's called How Not to Date. And it helps women kind of maneuver this very crazy world of dating and ultimately find self-love so that they can set healthy boundaries and really put themselves first in their dating mindset. And then I'm also building a travel company for digital nomads, which has been a work in progress, got paused thanks to COVID, but it's kind of back in action. So I help the digital nomads to figure out that lifestyle and feel free and able to go wherever they want, whenever they want, whether they're working or side hustle or, whatever their goals are in traveling.
Amazing. Well, thank you for doing that work in the world because it's super important, especially at times like this. Yeah. So the first question I ask my podcast guests, which you kind of just probably touched on, but what is your mission in the world?
Yeah, definitely to help people find freedom. I think that our society in so many ways really gets us stuck where we think that we have to follow a certain molds and do, what everyone else traditionally has done, when really that's not necessarily what our soul wants us to do and what we feel passionate about. So whether it's with dating or with your work and your mission in life, I really encourage people to do what they feel passionate about, what they believe in, and not just what they're supposed to do or what makes them the most money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all about like soul alignment and what lights you up, right?
For sure. Yes. And yeah, with everything going on in the world right now, I think a lot of people are even more trapped than ever. But I want people to realize that it's not necessarily COVID that's preventing them from traveling, but the fear of COVID and all of the, limiting beliefs that we connect with, going out into the world. So COVID rates are, pretty high in Florida compared to a lot of the other places in the world that I've been traveling lately. So it's really just our thoughts that are holding us back and not situations externally.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, so I know that you talk about the limiting beliefs behind like maybe stopping people from being a nomad. So can you go a little bit more into that about maybe what you see people usually stopping them from living that life of freedom and, travel?
Absolutely. I think initially people really see travel as like, a vacation or something short term that is like a reward for all their hard work. But me personally, I felt like my most authentic self when I'm traveling, when I'm experiencing other places and meeting new people. So I realized that it doesn't just have to be, 1 week a year. It could be my life, my lifestyle. So definitely just seeing your lifestyle shift is one of the necessary, ways to change your mind. And then also I feel like so many people say, I've gotten to this age where I need to settle down and stop wasting my money on travel, or have a family or buy a house. And I think all of those kind of like landmarks in your timeline are, again, just limiting beliefs. For one thing, you can travel with a family if that's something that you want to do, or with a partner, with a spouse. But also, you don't have to stop at some point. You can start and stop and keep it going and really organize the lifestyle of your dreams just by believing that it's possible and not listening to what you've been told you're supposed to do.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like when people like stop themselves from living that life that they want, it's always like the fear of the change, like the fear of how their life's going to change in some kind of way. Like they're just like so used to being safe in their house and doing like the same thing that's what they've always been doing, right? And it's almost like at the fear of the unknown is really, I guess, what I'm trying to say. And it's just like everything that you want is on the other side of that fear, right? And it's like,
Absolutely.
yeah. And a question that I've been asking myself lately when these things come up, like, okay, well, am I making this decision out of love or am I making it out of fear?
That's
Right.
great. Yeah. And, another way to just even word that is this my ego or my soul? And I feel like when you're following your soul, you're making decisions out of love for yourself, love for others. And when you're following your ego, you're acting out of fear and fear of the unknown. But even I think people are just so used to the familiar, and it's, even if they read about exactly where they're going and they plan the whole trip, it's just out of what they're used to. It's out of their comfort zone. So they don't even consider it an option.
Mm-hmm.
And when you step outside and remove that fear of the unknown and think about the love for yourself and your dreams and accomplishing your dreams, then I think it's worth, doing something you're unfamiliar with and stepping outside your comfort zone to accomplish what you really want for your life.
Yeah. So when you started your journey as a digital nomad, were you finding yourself in these limiting beliefs and thoughts as well? Or were you just like, nope, this is it for me, I'm doing it?
No, definitely. This was quite a while ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. So I didn't even really say to myself, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to go be a digital nomad. I had all these kind of backup plans, like I'm going to go for a month and then I'm going to go teach here. And I really thought that I still was going to follow the traditional path. And then as I kind of surrendered to my soul and was allowing, my heart to guide me, it didn't take me down that path. It was a very different path that kind of I fell into the digital nomad lifestyle. I found all these different side hustles that allowed me to not have to go back to a corporate job or a teaching job. And then I found remote work jobs, which back then were a lot less common. But I realized that I could work and make, dollars living in places where I not only enjoyed my life more, but the cost of living was lower, allowing me to live, a higher standard of living and to do more things that I enjoy because I wasn't, stressing to pay rent and bills. So as I kind of fell into that lifestyle, I realized that it was so much more freedom, and so much more joy in my life that ultimately I couldn't imagine going back to the corporate world. It felt like a step backwards. And then it wasn't so scary because it didn't feel unfamiliar anymore. So I do realize, asking people to completely change their lifestyle is a lot. So in addition to, I'll be offering retreats. We've done 2 this year, one in Medellin, Colombia, and one in Cartagena, Colombia. That's kind of my home base right now. But I'm also developing a course that'll kind of prepare people before they even go away to kind of shift their mindset, understand, what to expect when they go, how to budget, how to find side hustle type jobs, all of that kind of stuff.
Amazing. Yeah, I was going to ask if you have any like tips for somebody that wants to start living this lifestyle, but they might not even know where to start.
Yeah, and that's really the market I'm trying to speak to. I know there's lots of people who have traveled already, and shifting to a long-term travel lifestyle isn't that as difficult. Whereas if you've barely traveled or you can't even imagine going away alone, that's who I'm really trying to help. So I have an entire app in the works right now. So on the app will be, it's going to be a 4-week course. And then there'll be the retreat options on there, but it's also going to have tons of like resources, blogs, links to other websites and communities that have been helpful for me in my travels. There's going to be daily meditations on there. So really everything you could possibly need to become a digital nomad will be right at the click of that app.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm really excited for that to come out.
Thanks. Yeah, hopefully soon. It's almost done.
Yeah. So this one's like more of a question like that I've always wondered because I would love to do the digital nomad life, but I'm also a Cancer rising. So I'm big on like my home space and like being cozy and, having my own little like nest.
Sure.
So how was that experience? Like not really having like your roots in somewhere and like bopping around places? Because I'm genuinely curious because I really can see myself doing that, but then there's another part of me like, but I like my stuff and my safe home and all that, you know?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I really do encourage people to find the method of travel that works best for them. So for somebody like you who wants that home space, I recommend doing kind of like home base locations, which is at this point in my life where I feel like I'm a little older, a little more settled than I was during my original nomad days. I prefer the home base as well. So for example, right now I have my apartment in Fort Lauderdale. I have another rental apartment in Philadelphia, where I'm from, and then another one in Cartagena, where, to be honest, I don't own any of them. I just rent and then re-rent them. So that way I can move around, but still have a home base with my stuff where I feel, super at home. And then when I'm not at that location, I'll either sublet it or I'll Airbnb it. And Airbnb, it's also an incredible way to make rental income while you're gone. So for example, in Philadelphia, in the summer is when I'll rent it on Airbnb, and I make almost double the rent. So
Wow.
so it's actually, not only do I get to keep my space, but I'm making some income while I'm traveling. And then, in Cartagena, same thing. I have somebody kind of managing it for me, but really Airbnb is super easy that you can, update your listing, talk to your potential renters, do everything other than clean it. So I really I have a lockbox and somebody cleans it. And that's kind of one of my, secrets of having a home base while you're a nomad.
That's literally genius. Like you kind of just blew my mind. Like I don't know why I just never thought that was a thing, but so you have apartments in different places. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Well,
And then that's extra income.
yeah, absolutely. And, at some point, I hope to get to the point where I'll own some of these properties and they're, real estate investments. But for right now, it's been really helpful for me that I needed very little capital to get this started. In Cartagena, I kind of just, in a week, I found this apartment. I furnished it for like 1,000 USD and then put pictures up, and it was booked for like 4 months solid. So it doesn't take a whole lot to get this started. As long as you find a landlord who will let you re-rent it, you're pretty much good to go.
Wow, that's amazing. I feel like that's very helpful because I know I'm not alone in feeling like, oh, but I'd like to have like my home base and, a place that I can come back to. I know I was like toying around with the idea like, okay, I'll keep my apartment and then I'll just travel a lot. But so
Yeah.
then, but then like, okay, so it's like, are you going to sublet it? Like, no, I don't want someone living in my house.
Yeah,
But
a lot
like,
of people, again, I think that's a limiting belief that we think,
no, it
and
is. It is.
even like I have a roommate here in Fort Lauderdale because I wasn't here much this year. So that kind of, if you're worried about that, it was nice for me to know that she was there and that I trust her so that, nothing's going to go missing. But also with Airbnb, you can get the host insurance that covers everything. That's actually included. So that's a little bit of peace of mind there. But even like you said, if you just want to rent your current apartment, and then when you're traveling, another recommendation is to just kind of stay for a little while, stay for 3 months, and then you'll find your apartment. It doesn't have to be something that you plan to rent in the future. You can just find something short term, but that way, you're not every 2 weeks going to a new location and having to start fresh. You can, do 3 months here, 3 months there, and it doesn't feel so nomadic and so kind of crazy all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's just amazing the time that we're living in now that we have all of these resources and tools and options to kind of live like a complete life of freedom that wasn't really available for our parents and our grandparents, we're really like navigating new waters with all of this, and it's really exciting. It's really exciting that we're like birthing this new way of like living your life. Like you don't need to always have like the white picket fence kind of ordeal.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm hoping to show people, because I feel so alive with my lifestyle the way it is. And, maybe I will get married and have children at some point, but I don't ever intend to stop traveling. I've met families traveling who do it long term or who do it in the summer, who homeschool their kids. I mean, like you said, there's so many ways to do it now. There's online school, so there's remote work. So there's really so many ways where you can still be, you know, a productive member of society. You can still have a stable income and move around and live wherever you want.
Yeah, definitely. So it sounds like freedom is it's a big thing for you, right? Tell like you really care about freedom, and so do I. It's huge in my life. So yeah, like what does freedom mean to you?
It's a good question. Definitely like the ability to choose for myself what I want my life to be. So both in the present and in the future, I think so many people kind of relinquish the control to make decisions about their life, to their boss, to their partner, to the government. And, you know, everybody's doing it. So it just feels like that's what you're supposed to do. But I don't think so. And I don't want that for myself. So I really, in all of my decisions, I think about, is this for me or is this for somebody else who's kind of influencing me in some way? And if I know I'm making a decision for me, then, you know, I feel confident in it, even if it's not what most people are doing, even if it's not the easiest choice, even if it kind of brings me into the unknown. If I know that it's leading me towards what I want for my life, then I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, and that's just like that's a complete lifestyle change, right? Just to live your life in that way. And it's such an invitation that like it's possible. I know I talk to so many people. I work from home, like I'm not, tied to an office or anything. But I talk to people that purposely want to like go into the office and purposely want to be told what to do and purposely, and I'm just like, are you happy with that? You
Right.
know?
Yeah, no, and I think a lot of that is like conditioned fear
Yeah.
that we don't trust ourselves. And it's so many limiting beliefs that we've like accepted as truth that we don't even realize they're limiting beliefs. And people around us who love us kind of perpetuate those without realizing it too. So when I, told my family I'm going to quit my job and travel the world and sell my book, and they said, "Oh, well, you have a degree, so you can always fall back on that."
Mm.
Sure. And I
Mm-hmm.
know they don't mean to doubt me, but a lot of us, accept their doubt as truth and then internalize it ourselves. So we think like, no, it's just easier if I have a boss. It's just easier. Maybe it's less fear producing, but I don't know
Safer.
that means, yeah, it's safer. I don't know that means it's easier. And like you, I don't have a boss. I don't have an office or, a specific schedule, but I love it. Like I love waking up at whatever time I want without an alarm. I love being able to go run when my body tells me I have the energy to run, and to eat when my body tells me I'm hungry. And yeah, to just really do what I want every day. And of course, there's some discipline required. Like I have to wake up and make sure I get my work done, but I'm working for me. So I'm excited to do that. I can't wait to work on my app and to share it with the world. I can't wait to write about the things I'm passionate about. So it doesn't feel like, oh, it's Monday, I have to work. Like I literally, after a fun weekend of doing whatever I want, I'm like, okay, I'm excited to get back to my routine on Monday, because it's the routine that I created for myself to accomplish my goals.
Yeah, and that just shows like you really can create your reality. You have the power to create your reality, right? It's like taking your own power back and not looking at what maybe our parents and our grandparents did, and realizing that we're in different times now and you can live the life that makes you the happiest, that makes you the most liberated, that brings you the most pleasure and joy, right? And you can do work that you actually care about, right? And I know not the entrepreneur life isn't for everybody, like I totally get that, but if there's something that you've always wanted to do, and it's not what you're currently doing in your 9 to 5 job, like I'm always like, start doing it while you're still working 9 to 5, like start doing the thing that brings you joy at the same time. And then eventually you'll be able to make that shift, but don't just stay where you are, because that's what you've always done and that's what you've been taught to do. Like really like rewrite your story, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like those people who have that kind of like inkling of a dream in the back of their minds and then they don't follow it, like they're the ones who are going to have a midlife crisis when they're 50 or 60 and think, wow, what did I spend my whole life doing? And, maybe it was safe or stable and they have, their comfortable house and life, but are they really passionate about what they're doing? Are they really, proud of what they've accomplished? And I feel like a lot of those people are going to have a lot of regrets. So yeah, like you said, another part of my course is that side hustle aspect that you have a dream, whether you want to be an entrepreneur or just work remotely so that you can travel. There's so many ways to have that kind of side hustle where you can, pursue what you want and still have a reliable income coming in.
Yeah, definitely. I know that's what, I mean, I've been doing that for years and it's provided me just so much freedom in myself, knowing that like I'm doing something that brings me joy, right? I'm doing something that's pursuing my dreams and not pursuing someone else's dreams, you know?
Yeah. So what are some of your side hustles, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so I still work full time as a tax accountant. It's very strange, but I work from home. So it's really nice. I still wake up at the same time, at whatever time I want. I allow like full flow. I work for a company that's not very rigid, so I'm able to have that freedom. And then I'm an astrologer and I am an
Cool.
embodiment coach and breathwork facilitator. And I'm also a spiritual coach. So I'm taking one-on-one clients in 3-month containers where we work on transformation and, manifesting their dream life and healing and all the things. And that's my passion.
Yeah, I can tell. And I love that. I'm just getting into spirituality maybe in this past year, but it's really transformed my life. And I believe that as I've kind of aligned with my soul more, all of the other projects that I've been working on for years are like finally aligning and coming into reality. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited to explore spirituality even more in the future.
Yeah, definitely. It going down the spiritual path was a complete life changer for me. I feel like a lot of people that find spirituality have to go through like a really big low in their life, right? And that's kind of what happened to me. Like I was at the bottom and I found spirituality. I found, really myself, like who I actually am at my essence, and began to love myself and learn the tools for healing and all the things and get to know myself on a deeper level. Because really spirituality is just a path of the soul, just getting to know who you are, why you're here, right? So it was huge for me, but I've always had like a side hustle. I have a crystal jewelry business too. I started that when I was
Oh,
in
wow.
college for accounting, and I started that, and I started my astrology business a couple years ago. My coaching business has been going for about a year now, and I've started all of these things while working full time, right? And I will say, like, I was going to the office before pre 2020. I was definitely still like in the matrix a bit. But what happened in 2020 and the availability to now work from home completely changed my life. And that's when things in my business really started clicking. And now I can see like I'm very close to being able to quit that job, right? I can feel it. And it's because I've took the steps, right? Like I took the steps even when I was going into the office every day. I would do stuff when I got home from work. I would do stuff during the weekends. And it was my passion. So like I didn't mind doing a little bit of things and I never felt stressed or overwhelmed by it. So I just want to like let everyone know that you can do it, right? Like if you have a dream, if you have an idea, don't let your circumstances stop you from doing it. Like every little bit you do towards it counts. And then one day you'll look back like, holy shit, I did it, right? Like I actually did it. So don't ever let, what people think or outside circumstances ever hold you back. Because I truly believe we're all here to like live out our dreams, I
Absolutely.
think everybody should live out their dream. No one should hold themselves back.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. And I feel blessed that I've been able to pursue my dreams more recently, that everything's kind of falling into place. But yeah, I think that traveling helps people kind of figure out what their dreams even are. So that's another reason that I'm excited about it. But yeah, the changes of 2020 really have created a new world for us, and people can, still have that remote work job and pursue their dreams and travel. And it's really an incredible thing. And I think it's more people's mindset than their circumstances that are holding them back. So hopefully podcasts like yours will really open their minds up that it's just believing that you can do it that makes it possible. So
Yeah, totally. And it's funny, something like 2020 happened, and a lot of people look at it as like, oh, more of like a lockdown, taking away freedoms, da, 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 da. But if you just perceived it as something different, it really created an opening for people, right? It created an opening for people to start living the lives they always wanted. Remote work is very common now, very common. If you don't want to go into the office anymore, guess what? You don't have to. Find a place that you don't have to, like something that really was perceived maybe at first as like more of like a restricting thing. It really allowed for an opening for those who took it.
Yeah. And I being in Florida, really saw the shift of people moving around, because so many people from LA and Chicago and New York and these places that were locked down a lot longer, and also cold and kind of a little tougher than I think Florida is, where everybody's just in a great mood all the time. But I saw so many people come down to Florida, and I think it's one of the fastest growing states right now, in terms of population. But what I'm hoping people will realize is that there's a huge world out there, and so many countries with, so much to offer that we might not have here. Just, different cultures, different experiences. And I think as people get a little more brave and realize how much freedom they do have with these remote jobs and online schooling and all of that people are going to start moving around the world. And I'm excited for it.
Yeah, me too. I feel like we've seen such like an influx of people changing locations and everything since then, because people are actually going and living the life they want, right? It was just like a giant permission slip.
Absolutely. I love it. And for all the people who are, still kind of stuck somewhere, a lot of people who started working from home, one of the downsides is they kind of lost that like coworker camaraderie. They don't feel like they have a community. So that's another thing about the digital nomad life, that other nomads are so supportive of each other. Like I'm part of so many different communities and groups where it's even like, there's one called Host a Sister, where if you're going to be somewhere in the world, you post it and you can find a place to stay for free, just with other people who will offer up a bed or a room for you. So I think accepting that it's possible really opens up new opportunities that you didn't even know exist once you kind of fall into that life.
Yeah. And that actually brings me into a point that I was going to ask you about. Like, so someone like has these limiting beliefs that like, oh, I can't live a life like that. Like, oh, I need to stay home. Oh, right. So they're working on their limiting beliefs. They're working on changing their perception. But also another thing that I found is really helpful, and that is surrounding yourself with people that are living the life that you want to live. Surrounding yourself with people who actually embody those beliefs that you're trying to shift into, right? So I was curious if you had any experience like that in your life or clients' lives or friends.
Yeah. It's interesting because that kind of combines both my little dating book and my wander company. But so you're not going to be able to find somebody who's living the life that you want until you kind of step into doing those things and going down that path. So, before I used to say, oh, I want to find a partner who wants to travel with me, but I was sitting at home in Philadelphia, like, I don't want to travel alone, kind of waiting for that. And how am I going to find somebody who wants to travel all the time if I'm just staying in one place? So once I got out into the world and kind of took the leap and said, okay, I can't find that partner, I'm going to go do it on my own and, believe in myself and have self-love and be okay with that. And then I suddenly was surrounded by other people who want to travel and who want to find a partner who also travels. So Yeah. So in, one of the things I write about in the book, which is not about travel at all, it's just about dating in this crazy time of swiping apps and everything, is to do what you're passionate about and to really focus your energy on that. So many people spend so much time on these apps kind of, a little lost as to what they're even looking for. And I think if you focus on what you're passionate about and you spend your time, playing tennis or traveling or, whatever it is, doing energy work, putting yourself into situations that you want to meet people who do that, who are interested in that too. And that's how you're going to find a partner that's really compatible, who has similar values, who has goals for the future that align with yours, rather than, finding someone who you just have a connection with, but then expecting them to kind of change all of their goals and all of their life to fit yours, because you're finding each other kind of at the wrong place in the wrong time. So definitely live your passion. And I think that's the best way to attract a partner, because we attract what we are, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me a bit about your book, since I know it's a dating book. I know this is just switching gears, but I feel like that was a good entryway.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I should focus on it a little bit more. I'm so excited about the travel company right now, and the book's just done. So I forget about it, but I love it. I used a ton of memes all throughout the book to keep it really fun and lighthearted, because dating can be pretty painful these days. But I think that laughter is the best medicine. So as I'm going through all of my kind of tips and rules for how to date today in this dating world, I used all these memes, which are not only funny, but they really show that I'm not alone. Like, this isn't just me, or this isn't just the reader. This is everybody. We're all kind of facing this, abundance of options, and then no real guidelines of how to date. And, in the beginning, I kind of talk about that. Our parents' generation, there was a lot of guidelines. Like, parents were very strict about who you could date based on your religion, based on so many different things, your social status. And, it's great that we've gotten past some of those limitations, but I don't think we replace them with new guidelines. So people are just lost, and everybody's operating on different, assumptions that aren't really truth. So my goal in the book is to really get down to the truth of who you are and what you're passionate about, to understand better what you're looking for and how you want to behave when you're dating. So yeah, we talk a little bit about in Light Club how who you are, your personality is how you think, how you feel, and how you act. And I think in dating, we kind of just, it all goes out the window. Like, we just are reacting all the time, and we're not really taking that moment to be thoughtful about how we want to present ourselves to the world and what type of partner is going to be best for our growth and our fulfillment. So it's really about, I would say it's not so much a self-help book as a self-reflection book. Like, I'm really just encouraging people to take a step back and look in the mirror, stop looking at all the options on the swiping app, and look at yourself first, so that you're really clear on who you want to be. And that's how you're going to find the right person to match, your true self.
Yeah. I don't know if have you ever heard of The List?
Mm-mm.
Oh, my best friend did it, and it actually worked. I know a lot of people have done it. You like create a list of your perfect partner, right? And
Okay.
you can get as specific or as general as you want. I know my best friend did it, and she was super specific. And the next thing you know, like, someone comes up on our Hinge, and he like checked off all the boxes, and they just got engaged a couple of days ago, and it's wild. And she's like, "You have to do the list. You have to do the list." And
That's
it's funny
awesome.
because you're announcing to the universe, like, okay, this is the type of partner I want, right? I want him to support me in this way. I want him to lift me up in this way, right? And like all the things, I want to share certain values with him, right? And so it's really interesting, just like opening yourself up to the universe. And then there's also another invitation, another layer of, well, who do you have to be a match for that kind of partner as well, right? So that really brings you back into the self-reflection, on, all right, well, who do I need to show up as in the world, in my life and my relationships, to be a match for this partner, right? Like to be a match for this partner who
Sure.
is going to lift me up even higher, right? Like who does that partner want, right?
Yeah, no, and I love the list. I definitely believe in setting intentions and like writing things really, makes it into a reality. Like it's not just a thought now, it's written down and you can see it. But I do talk about kind of the dangers with list making to just make sure that you're really thinking about what type of characteristics you're putting on that list. So I kind of in the book recommend the things you're looking for shouldn't be about their income or their height, which is honestly, you see a lot of that on Tinder. Like everybody's like, oh, 5'9" or taller, like, things that don't necessarily, they're not part of a recipe for success. They're kind of based on our society's expectations. So instead of focusing on things like looks and money, I encourage people to think about the values that they want that person to have and the goals that they want them to have, the behaviors that they see, how do they treat the waitress? Do they listen when you're talking? Really basic behaviors that people kind of overlook. And like you said, I think that when you think about what are their values, what are their goals, you have to then say, well, do my values and goals match with that? And recently someone I was dating kind of said, well, what are your values? And it made me think, like, have I, even writing a book, like, have I sat down and wrote my values? And how many people do that before they go out on a date with somebody? So I really, yeah, I agree with the list making if you're focused on the right traits.
Yes, I completely agree. Like we're looking for a soul connection here, right? Like at the end of the day, someone's height doesn't matter, you know. I get it, girls. I know you like to look up, but at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and our society, what we've been taught, there's a lot of superficiality, especially in South Florida, a lot of consumerism. And I hope people can start to realize that, a lot of that consumerism and superficiality is businesses trying to make money. It's not, what's actually important to your future success or to your, finding a happy partner, finding a compatible relationship. So I think people do need to kind of sit back and think about, where do these beliefs come from? Are they really from my soul and things that are important to me? Or were they things that were taught to me by, the media and high school and the people around me?
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have like a practice that you've used or that you come back to help working around your beliefs?
I mean, I think meditating and journaling are both huge. I think when you're journaling, all different types of things. I mean, what my beliefs are is helpful. But I think that when you meditate, you get a lot more clarity. The ego kind of that incessant voice kind of stops so that you can really like feel your emotions. And I think that guides you better than the thoughts in your mind. But for breaking limiting beliefs, definitely like reading and research. When I got into spirituality, I really had no idea. So I'll really briefly give you my like waking up story,
Yeah.
but I was not trying to wake up at all. I was writing this book about my past relationships. And as I was doing that, I was kind of coping with all my past trauma and releasing all of the blocked energy that was in my chakras. And literally at the time, I had no idea what chakras were. I knew nothing about energy. But I was just kind of like crying it all out and laughing about it all and really coping. And ultimately, I started getting into meditating and journaling. And then I just started feeling energy and I was like, what is happening? So that's when I started doing this research and realizing all of these limiting beliefs that I had about what people are capable of, what humans are capable of. And as I started realizing so much of what I learned was not true, it really made me step back and think about kind of everything, like what is true in this life and how do we determine that? And I think the answer is really your soul. Your soul knows, and meditating will help you figure out what's true and what's not.
Yes, 100%, completely. Yeah, the truth is always in your soul, right? And you really don't need to look outside of yourself. So thank you for sharing your spiritual awakening journey.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this was a really great experience. I'm happy to have been here.
Yes, thank you so much. So how can people reach you?
So right now, everything is kind of in the works. My book Instagram is not so basic bitch.
Love it.
Um, yes. So kind of going with the memes, it's like all these girls who are kind of living this basic bitch lifestyle, but they're not so basic. Like we have so much more inside of us. And I think it takes a little bit of reflection for it to come out. So yeah, not so basic bitch on Instagram. And I should mention I'm doing a giveaway for the month of January. The book is one of the prizes, but also a month of free personal training with at Jack Vitale, who you'll find on there, and then a 1 week spiritual coaching course with Pharaoh Kyle, who is it's a relationship course, but he's a spiritual coach. So it's a really incredible prize. So 3 different people will win. So you can sign up on the Instagram account.
No, that's amazing. Love that. Yeah, and
Yay.
I'll put all the information as well in the show notes for people that are not sitting there jotting things down. But yes, thank you so much. I so enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for bringing your light. Thank you for bringing your wisdom and sharing your story with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Angela. It was a pleasure.
You're so welcome. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for tuning in for today's episode of the Anchor and Ascend podcast, and I will see you next week.